All right, it's 4:04 a.m. It's late. But there's this Tekken 8 devs talk Miary Zo tag tournament and season 2 video interview with Harada and everyone else. So I wanted to have a look at it. Let's see what's going on.
New challenger! Farmer King!
All right, so you guys just revealed Miary Zo at the finals. You mentioned that you took a trip to Madagascar to do some research for the character. What kind of things did you learn on that trip that helped inform the design of the character?
はい、まあ、僕と浜田が現地やっぱり
So Nakata was just mentioning how they researched a bit on the internet, but there wasn't that much information. So actually going there and learning about the people and culture, the history of the country. Not only that, but just to walk around the city and see what actual people look like. The height, what their hairstyles look like, the color of their skin, just in general, what the general population looks like. It gave them a very good idea of where to start with the design of the character.
現地で結構僕らは
So actually, one of the first things, there were several stages.
Like, this
to research.
audio is very tinny.
One was first to visit the historical sites and to learn about the history and the past of the country and how it actually developed. And not only that, but then also through employing local guides to actually hear more about the background.
I like her original design.
Learn about the local population.
Her original design don't look nothing like the actual character. Like her nose. Like, the thing with this character, yeah. I was watching like people post up like different pictures of like female models for Madagascar. And I was like looking at their nose structure and stuff like that. And this character, I don't know, man. It's not giving like culture. It just feels like these characters are kind of like they've got the color complexion and they just go through this like dull look with the females. Like they all kind of look similar or the same. Now, hear me out on this. If you look at Dragonoff and Feng, they look completely different, right? If you look at Leroy and Kazuya, they look completely different. Jin and Heihachi look completely different. But with the female characters, you take off their hair and just give them all the same complexion and they all look the same. They all look the same. I would like for them to like have blemishes in their skin and just like proper detail, not this dull look. I feel like they need to change that, man.
And to see what they look like, and also to kind of be able to ask them about what's important to them, what kind of values they have, what kind of religious aspects, and these kind of things about modern Madagascar. Not only that, but the population. It's kind of it's an island, so there's not a huge population there, but it's quite unique in the fighting game community, as in they have these tournaments locally where you can earn points for the Tekken World Tour, obviously. So we first saw that they actually had it quite often, once per month or so, which is quite a bit for such a small community, right? So we wanted to learn more about what motivated them to be participating in the game so much. So there were several facets that we actually got to hear about directly from them. And actually to kind of view the population and see the characteristics from our point of view, but to ask them, as your people go, what are the typical visual characteristics, whether that's the style of hair, or the color of skin, etc. To hear this directly from their perspective of what signifies someone from Madagascar.
So we didn't actually get to see, the combat style of this character, but we did see that it's, African martial arts. Can you kind of describe and paint a picture for us what this character will fight like?
基本的には
So the fighting style is basically labeled as Morongi, but it's quite different than what most people think as a structured fighting style, because it's more like a fighting tournament or a gathering to fight. It's more loose, I guess, because there's more room for individual interpretation as far as techniques, go. Not only that, but other African martial arts are being used by this character. So various different ones that come from the main continent of Africa. So it's kind of like an amalgamation of those. So she takes techniques from several of these.
Interesting. I wonder if she's gonna be like a new version to Lei.
like Corrado said, merengue is the base, but then there's also famous arts in Africa, such as dambe is a unique one. So some of the techniques from that have been included as well.
Okay.
But the setting of this character is that she's liked by animals, like various wild animals in the ecosystem, and so that
This sounds so much like Elena from Street Fighter. Like it sounds so much like Elena. Elena's liked by animals. Like same thing over here. But I don't know about her name though. Her name is yeah. I don't know.
not only has she learned from these martial artists, but also from animals that take
I'm
their
not. I'm not gonna be used to
unique
saying her
genes and
name.
characteristics and
Miary
try
Zo.
to kind of implement them into her fighting style.
Between a character like Armor King, where you're taking a existing character and updating them to Tekken 8, or Clive, where you're adapting a character from another property into Tekken 8, or Miary Zo, where you're building a whole new character from scratch. What kind of character design process do you enjoy the most, and what's the most challenging?
一番ってなるとなかなか難しいんですけ
So
ど、
Nakatsu was just saying it's quite difficult for him to choose one because they all have their unique processes that he enjoys. For example, Armor King, taking that heel archetype pro wrestling and being able to flesh it out more in Tekken 8 by doing the poison mist not only as like reversals but various ways to use that into throwing, and also just to kind of portray him as a different type of pro wrestler in the way he has more like brutal strikes and very visceral, violent striking capabilities compared to King, for example, while also being able to kind of weave in there some throws and things like that. So making him really.
I'm gonna look for. I'm looking really. I'm looking forward to Armor King though. To be fair,
for the heel pro wrestler.
still can't believe that breaks. Break the walls down.
That said, someone like Clive, where you take a IP from somewhere else and you try to faithfully recreate that in our game as much as possible, but you still have that little part where you have a little bit of freedom to add stuff to make it fit more naturally into the game. Working within those constraints is actually kind of creative and a lot of fun. But then with Miary Zo, making a brand new character from scratch, just to be able to use our full resources, we're quite good at creating the animations, for example, in particular, and just working as a full team to not just one person, but have several people contribute ideas and to be able to coherently bring that together into the original character itself is.
I'm looking forward to this character a lot.
fulfilling. So it's hard to choose one.
I'm gonna see how she plays.
っていうのは
So Hirata was just mentioning that first and foremost, he really enjoys creating these brand new characters, which he's done in the past. I think he's talking about probably Alisa and characters like that. So he really enjoys that creating from zero. But also, there's a different type of enjoyment in creating a guest character. For example, when bringing Akuma from the Street Fighter series, to be able to look at it from a different standpoint, not that of a developer per se, but first you have to kind of put yourself in the shoes of the fans of that particular character and think, why is this character so beloved and what makes this character unique and stand out? And to start from there, so you kind of start from that fan's perspective, and it's really enjoyable to then flesh out the character in that manner. Or for example, when you're taking a character from the Final Fantasy series and you actually become part of that fan base of those games as you're going through that process.
So switching to kind of more general Tekken questions, one of the big stories in fighting games right now is tag fighters. This kind of renaissance of tag fighters, from Marvel Tokon to a Mythical Versus to XKO. Tag fighters are kind of the rage right now, and you guys happen to have a tag fighting game in there. Has there been any kind of desire to revisit Tekken Tag Tournament?
My favorite game.
So he was just saying that that's a very difficult question. Back in '99 when he made the original tag tournament, Tekken, first off, the base roster, each character has so many moves in a 3D fighter, right? Compared to these other games that there's so much to learn just for one character, and then to pair that with two, even though back then in Tag 1 a lot of the characters were called compatible, or you'd have like versions that look different, but they share a similar type of move list. Where as the Tekken series progressed, the characters became more unique in their move sets, etc. So it's even more involved to try to learn and master a character. And then another one on top of that. And then when you throw in the combination of the two and your opponent's characters, it's just so much more knowledge that's necessary to enjoy the game. So the hardcore, they ate it up as a too, but for your average player, it was very hard to gain a more casual.
I knew it. That's why Tag 2 never worked out.
So
Exactly what they
to
say now.
Rather than have a standalone game, it would probably be better to have it as
Solo.
some kind of a separate mode within a normal Tekken franchise, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's his opinion. I was saying, Nakatsu and myself, we probably grew up in the arcades playing while he was making Tag 1, so we really enjoy the game. I guess we're more on the hardcore side of being able to use several characters and such, and we loved Tag 2. But we were fully aware that there were just some people that couldn't get a handle on it because of all the knowledge that's involved.
So let's talk a little bit about season 2. There's been a lot of urgent updates that you guys have released after the initial launch. Where do you think the game is at right now? How do you feel about it? Do you feel like it's in a good spot, or do you think that there's still kind of work to be done?
はい、そうですね。シーズン2が開始当初は
So Nakatsu just mentioned that for season 2, as he's mentioned previously, that he's realized that throughout the talks that we've had, many people in the community were expecting a more different approach to maybe enable more defensive options and things like that. And he regrets that the changes in the game didn't meet those expectations. The thinking originally behind season 2 was the balance team, for example, the tuners, the tuning staff, were really trying to go after something new to make it feel, quite new for season 2, to make a lot of changes. But that necessarily didn't turn out in the way we'd hoped. So, and he's aware of that. So we did indeed do several rounds of patches to try to bring the game closer to what those expectations were from the community. Okay. And we are still, here watching the competitive scene and keeping an eye on how matches play out to see what changes we might still need to make to bring the game more in line with expectations.
ちょっとディープというか裏側は
So he just mentioned that Tekken 8 was a brand new challenge, especially to note that the Tekken series has always had the arcade version first, where we had about 2 years to really let it simmer into when people first got their hands on the console version. That was quite evolved from what the initial released game was. But this time, since we didn't have the arcades, it went straight to console, and everyone got that initial version from the start around the world, right? And it was mentioned that the team was quite young, as we've had a turnover of members, age-wise, etc. So the goal also, just to keep in mind, is that we weren't trying to make a 7.5 or something like that. It was supposed to be a brand new game. And we think that people really realized that at launch because, it did quite well. It got Fighting Game of the Year, 90 Metacritic, I think, as well. It just happened that season 2, we tried to make the concept even more pronounced, I guess you could say, and we went too far in a certain direction. So obviously we've been trying to have communication with the community and to try to bring it to a ground where everyone's happy about that. So it was quite a challenge, and we're continuing working with the community. So that we want to do new stuff, but at the same time, if something doesn't feel like it should be in Tekken, whether that's a brand new concept Tekken or not, that's something we'll review. But the idea is a brand new game, so hopefully people will keep an open mind about that.
Oh, was that it? Yeah. Okay, sick. Well, to be fair, it was pretty much like a little bit more information. They said they would rather put a tag in a game. So we might get tag in Tekken 8. I'm not really holding my breath on it. There's not really much to really go by from it. It's kind of like, okay, cool. Miary Zo, I'm looking forward to seeing what she's like and stuff. Hopefully they change the face design a little bit as well. Armor King, I'm looking forward to. Season 2, I feel like I'm more excited for seeing what they got for season 3, even though it's like I've got a whole 6 months ahead. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking about. Maybe I'll just play some other games and just wait for them to iron out. But yeah, let me know what you lot think about that video, and we'll be on to the next one. Take it easy, everyone.